What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Chaeyoung's debut solo album, Lil Fantasy Volume 1. Of course, Chaeyoung, the latest Twice member to release a solo following the two Nyan projects, the Geo, the Chewy projects. Misamo, three-member subunit, released some stuff. Chaeyoung was one of the three members who hadn't released anything solo until now. Here we are, Lil Fantasy Volume 1. And of course, this is coming hot on the heels of a really spectacular 2025 for Twice. Of course, last September, they had the Strategy EP, which I thought had some highlights and was certainly a sign of where Twice was going with leaning into some more Western trends that really bore fruit on This Is 4 a few months ago, which to me was my favorite Twice EP perhaps ever. I thought it was really tremendous. A lot of great tracks on that. Of course, they then performed at Lollapalooza, which was a really great performance from the group, and they benefited from the success of K-pop Demon Hunters with their contribution on the song Takedown, which is an excellent track, one of my favorite Twice tracks. Chaeyoung, one of the three members on that track. And despite all that, Twice still found time to release a Japanese album a few months ago. They're gearing up for their 10th anniversary celebration stuff next month. They really never stop working. And now we're here with a solo record. And the Twice solo records have largely been pretty good. I thought the Nyan ones, both of them are great. They're excellent. Geo one was pretty solid. The Chewy one surprised me with how good it ended up being. And now here with Chaeyoung, who is my favorite Twice member. I'm a big fan of just, her kind of contributions to the group. Obviously, she's not as vocally important as, say, Nyan or Geo are to the majority of Twice tracks. We know that. But to me, I think Chaeyoung just as like this kind of playful, like energetic younger member of the group, I've always appreciated what she contributes, and also being like the main rapper of the group and doing the Twice brand of rapping. I think of her contributions to songs like Icon and I Can't Stop Me, and I really appreciate what she does. And now we have Chaeyoung's debut solo album, Lil Fantasy Volume 1, which unfortunately is a massive disappointment and the least interesting of all the Twice solos to this point. I am really shocked at what this sounds like because it's very much unlike anything Chaeyoung does as a member of Twice. And by all means, I give you credit for making what you want to make, making one for her. All that's cool, but this is just not pleasant music for the most part. Sonically, this is largely pretty dull and uninteresting in the sense that it's just low energy. There's just not a lot of pop on this. I think production-wise, the song Shoot is a clear highlight. I give JYP credit for letting her do something like this that's clearly not commercial, but given how good she was on the K-pop Demon Hunter song Takedown from just a few months ago, to then go into this, which is just so moody and atmospheric, ambient, I'm just at a bit of a loss. That first track, Avocado, it's silky smooth, got that snare drum, got that king drum, but vocally it's just so understated with these breathy, airy vocals, and that's a consistent theme on Lil Fantasy here. Band-Aid, I think the drum tempo gets a bit quicker, but the vocals from Che are just so subtle again. Shoot, parentheses, Firecracker, as I said, the clear highlight, right? Because it wakes up, you have some drums, you have that guitar line. Vocally, it's a bit more expressive. Still feels a bit restrained, though. The hook's just fine. The verses are better. It's tough. I think the next song, Girl, it's more acoustic, but super dull. Ribbon, I think the bass drum hits pretty good. Ribbons, that is. I think the features vocally fit the song pretty well. Compositionally, I guess it's a bit interesting, a bit more involved than some of the other tracks, but still not something I'm super interested in. And then Downpour, I think the beat is actually pretty cool on this, but the vocals are pretty flat. And then BF, the last two tracks, it just continues. I'm really kind of shocked at what this sounds like, and I'm trying to think of a comp here in terms of like solos and stuff, and I guess you could think of like the Kai album from earlier this year, also something I didn't really care for too much. Even something like with BTS, like the V solo, I thought that that was like a more like a Torch song project, but that had such a tighter concept, right? And even if it wasn't the most like poppy thing from the BTS orbit. It clearly had like a lot more like I think vision to it, right? This Che project to me, I just don't know. I mean, it just it's just way too like up in the clouds for me, and it's not that it's different from Twice, like that's fine, and it's not that it's different from what I'm used to from Chaeyoung, right? Like I like her as a rapper, right? I like her on poppy stuff, fine, but what it is, it's just not that interesting, not that fun to revisit, not unique. It's just kind of blah. So, yep, this is definitely up there for the most disappointing K-pop release of the year for me. Let me know, what did you think of Chaeyoung's solo Lil Fantasy Volume 1? If you liked it, please let me know why. Again, I'm a big Twice fan, big fan of Chaeyoung specifically, but I'm let down by this tremendously. But for more K-pop reviews, more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.